You're listening to Keen on Digital. I'm your host, Cian Murphy, a digital marketing pro with almost 2 decades experience. Each week, I'm going to dive into digital trends with top marketers and AI experts. And I'm just going to be bringing you straight talking insights to level up your strategy. So look, let's get started. So today I'm joined by Cian Murphy. And as we mentioned just before the call, we're not related, even though we're from the same geographical area. And I'm going to let Cian introduce himself anyway.
Cian, great to be chatting to you. So I'm Cian Murphy. I lead the global digital acquisition at a company called Qualtrics. We're a leader in the experience management space across customer experience, employee experience, and software and research. I lead a global team that are very, very focused in terms of generating, say, inbound activity that come into our sales development function across the globe. So we lead a team in the US, in Tokyo, in Berlin, in Dublin, and in Australia and in Brazil as well. So very very culturally dispersed as a team, but
Very
really
global.
excited to talk to you about B2B and any thoughts you might have.
Yeah, geez, I suppose the first thing would be like, what did you do to scale, or how did you get into the position? Did you start off as head? Did you grow internally? How did you get
Um,
to?
so in terms of my career background, I guess I worked at agency side and then client side with a company called Glanbia in Ireland. So I joined Glanbia when they were I remember the interview, they were just somebody asked a question about digital at an executive level in the business or a shareholder business, and then they put up an ad, and I went, and they were like two lovely guys from Glanbia, Fergal Wall and Tony Minogue, and they're like, look, we have no clue what we should be doing here. Can you come in and help us? And then I grew what was a global center of excellence at the center of Glanbia, which almost like an agency that then served the business out. So we charged out for our time internally and everything. And we grew that function to serve all the brands like Optimum Nutrition and all the Irish brands that you know as well, like
Yeah,
the Avamores of the world. And from there, then I worked at a bit of consulting, then with another large Irish multinational, and then I got a call from Qualtrics from an amazing recruiter who had a chat with, and she said, "Look, we're trying to grow the business in EMEA, and we're very early in our journey. Would you be interested in it?" And met an amazing leader there called Caroline Mogford, based in the UK.
right.
And Caroline said, "Look, see what you want to do here. Come up with a plan, and off you go and do it." And I
You
did
were
that
just given a
for
blank slate.
yeah, I had lots of responsibility, which was terrifying at the time. But then from there, I went and an opportunity came up to lead the global team in the restructure that we did at the business, and lead an amazingly talented group of people now. I'm just the person who helps them execute on, I guess, all the excellence that they have in terms of capability. And
Yeah,
it's a big thing that I love and I'm happy to talk about today is just how to create talent in digital and a pipeline of talent as well.
yeah. And when they came in, did you inherit a great team, or did you have to hire it in, or did you?
Um, I originally hired in a lot of the team, and then you get different people who progress their career on, and a lot of it is they were quite early in their careers and trying to evolve their own capability. And a really big thing that I believe in is like just setting setting ideal state goals for that individual of what do they want to be, where they want to be, what skills do they want to have, what they want to be famous for in their career,
Right.
and they might be wanting to get there, right? And they're way back here where they probably mightn't even know how to, create a paid search ad, how to optimize it, how to, I guess, that title tags of SEO, right? And then to get all the way up along to who they want to be famous, what they want to be famous for, and we
Yeah,
work on that iteration every day.
just
And
making them better at each thing. And
Yeah,
do you give everyone the opportunity to kind of touch base on each thing, and like, do your team sit down and talk about like what they all do, so that if someone was out sick, someone can jump
yeah.
in, that kind of way as well.
We do. So we've a very, I guess, not rigid, formal structure in terms of you'd have a weekly individual one-to-one with the person. You'd work through, I guess, for everything that's on their mind for the first, say, 10 minutes, then your objectives, and then their development areas, right, for the final
Okay.
10 minutes. And then within each team, we would have, I guess, a team huddle where we just talk very openly about our gaps. Right? I guess vulnerability in the team is where you say, look, I really don't have a clue what I'm doing here. I need help. I want to get to this, and then we help and coach the person. So there's a coaching model called the Grow coaching model, which if anyone ever, I can send you a link to it as well.
Yeah,
But it's a
send it on.
really, really powerful thing for taking people, I guess, from any level up to a very much practitioner level. And I really believe some of the people who've joined my team, probably the best in the world at what they do. Um, and it's just through the vulnerability of saying, look, I really don't have a
Yeah.
clue. And
So
then,
your typical day then would be what you do, like a stand up every morning, or
so with groups of different teams, so on projects, we may have a stand up, and then you'd have a number of, say, one-to-ones, then you'd have a strategy kind of session as well. And we're very commercially focused marketers, right? So
of course.
everything that we do is very tied to ROI. So ROI for every investment we make and every piece of time we spent, and there's usually a multiple of that we've got to deliver. And then we work on, say, how are we pacing? So we have this pacing model that we utilize. So pacing is whereby we say we're currently at X percentage to target. If this keeps going like this, we probably may only hit 70%, 80%, or 120%.
Yeah.
And then I make the decisions and actions for the kind of week ahead or the days ahead, I guess, to try to optimize towards improving that figure. And that the
Definitely.
levers of that figure are things like marketing qualified lead volume. So they are leads that are generated through our system, and those leads have to meet certain scoring criteria. So we always try and optimize towards what's called an ideal customer profile.
Right.
So that's like there's no point in me attracting, say, students or like,
Yeah.
companies of a certain
Small business,
size.
small local business probably isn't your thing. It'd be
Yeah, I'd love, like, we have I guess tools that are self-serve that can help them, so we would kind of route them to that. But I'm really after, I guess, people that meet our. We've got two segments in EMEA, corporate, um, and enterprise, and I've got to really serve those two segments very carefully, with various different marketing tactics. So, and then you help the person throughout the week, and I guess try and give them as much autonomy as you can.
okay.
Um, and then through the one-to-one process, you're able to catch any places that they slip up or that they're not at the standard or where they're hoping to go to. Um, and then you just get out of their way and push them up in the business, and let them succeed.
Okay. So like you're not so much in the day to day of the campaigns anymore. You're more so on ensuring the people are upskilled and are able to take it on and then report back. And uh, you take them on that kind of journey to make sure that they're happy to do it on their own, but also be part of the team to report back in. Then
I guess a big part of it is, I guess, executive communication, right? So
sure.
reporting with to our leaders in the business in terms of how they are feeling about things. Are we generating the revenue that's required? And then full transparency, there's always areas of a function where they're more mature than others, right?
Mhm.
So, for example, we were starting a content syndication function, right? So, content syndication is now a big part of our business. When I took it over, it was around 5 million mark, in terms of its delivery, 5-10 million. And now this year we'll deliver with the leader of that team 49 million. But that individual had no experience in content syndication. You have to go deep on certain areas, then get them stood up,
Okay.
then step out of the way. And then there may be an area like that. For example, full funnel activity is a big focus of mine in terms of trying to bring that into the business. And to deliver a full funnel, I guess, delivery across, paid, across all the other channels, requires a lot of different coordination, lots of different mindset shifts from being very bottom of funnel focused to very full funnel focused. So
Right.
you kind of have to swarm into these certain areas, get them strong, get your hands on the tools doing them, and then you may have, unfortunately, someone might leave the business or get promoted. Then Qualtrics is a very lean business, so you really have to get on the tools and fill the gap there.
Right. And do
And
you develop any like SOPs, so operating procedures for new staff? It's I find that with ourselves, it's great if we do something, we make a record of it and say, right, we can add this to our process so that the next time anyone else comes into the business, whether it's I suppose, more of an experienced team member who
yeah,
can add to it, or someone who's completely beginner, they can join hit the ground running really.
yeah, you're dead right. I obsess over that, Cian, right? And it's only because learned knowledge is no good sitting on someone's head. You have to get it out. So, a big part of what I do is, for every thing that I observe that is a new skill, we've got, say, standard operating procedures. But then if someone is able to do something like run queries on Salesforce to find out attribution gaps that might be there in the business, so we're missing attribution somewhere, I write the problem to be solved, and then they make them record a video
That's
and
fine.
share that through, I guess, a Slack channel, and then share it in a video repository. Because
Very good. You using Loom or something
yeah,
like that?
we use Loom,
I love Loom. Yeah.
and also even Zoom, and then if they have a document that supports it, and then a video supports the document. Because I can often find, I don't know whether I'm dyslexic or something, but I have to see the video, or I have to see it there,
Yeah.
and be able to follow it. And that's rapidly accelerated, I guess, the enablement of different team members across the business.
Yeah, we're a small agency, but that's what I've started realizing, that even though I've maybe hired 5 people now, um, and the one thing that I've realized is, I'm not going to be saying this again. So what I've actually started is I'm not doing
Love
like
that.
Notion boards or anything. I have a
Yeah,
spreadsheet, and spreadsheet tab one is when you join the business. Here's your day one.
yeah,
Get to know everything. When you're recording time in our timesheets, like we use Teamwork as our project management tool.
yeah,
It's like, this is how you record it. This is your task. You have a template here when we ask you to do a task. This is how you use it, and it's going to be like, I can already tell straight away that it's way better. That I don't have to go and redo these things. There's a Loom video. There's an SOP with screenshots. It's just perfect. And
I,
there's kind of no excuses then as well for
yeah,
self development. If they're not looking at it, then it's more of a, okay, let's have a little chat and say, it's like, why can't you
yeah.
do it? Is there something else that needs to be added to this to help you?
And it's like all members of the team, right? The way I try to approach them as well is if you imagine like a top trump card or a Pokemon card, right? You've got on it, here's the stats of the thing, whether it's a Pokemon character or whatever it is. Each individual is like that, right? So we I created a matrix by a skills matrix, right? And then there's from where they are now, and then we work in a month and a quarter. So where they want to get to a month ahead, a quarter ahead, and we're just trying to, it's like going to the gym, trying to get that person stronger and stronger. So that's the thing that's really worked for me in terms of getting people up to a skill level very quickly.
Okay. And have you had any issues with like team members? Not issues, but I suppose when a new team member joins and they're used to doing something a certain way, have you ever had any issues with bringing people onto the Qualtrics way of doing things, or do you try and find a medium of, or maybe they can bring in new skills that you didn't think about? But has there been any of that kind of way, and how would you approach, I suppose, enticing those people to get on board to the Qualtrics way of doing things?
Yeah, and I think with each individual, right, it's like a blend. You have your own standards within the team, and then each individual, you kind of embrace the real positive components of what they bring, but also you have set standards, right? So if what they're doing is below that standard, I use a very good feedback model in terms of working with that person to try and bring them up to speed, and to bring them aligned to the standard. If they're above the standard to do something that's new and totally different, you embrace it, you bring it in, you adopt it, because look, we don't know everything, and I guess if someone is reluctant, I just use a coaching model framework to try and coach them through this perspective as well. And a lot of what we do is as much, I would say, the thing to think about B2B and the way I run the team and my mindset is very closely aligned to sales, right? So we are digital marketers, right? But we're almost digital revenue the digital revenue function is
It's
the way to
always
think.
revenue focused when it comes down to it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like I can create great campaigns, but look, they have to generate revenue. They have to generate. There are people who depend on like the right now. There is someone sitting in a room dependent on me to generate X million in terms of pipeline for that individual to hit their target, and for the then that goes up to the business. So if people are affecting that, it's a very quick conversation, and because it's
Yeah.
and there's also our budgets would be very large,
And that's
and
where you have to keep track of that pacing document, as you were saying. Is that
yeah,
daily or weekly? Your pacing
daily, daily.
daily. Is it
So
very hard on the pacing documents? Sorry, I'm obsessed with the pacing document side
yeah,
of things. When you're doing a pacing document, and algorithms change so much in the platforms, like say if you're using Facebook or Meta
yeah.
and Google, like when they go into a learning phase, you have to wait for them to, I suppose, for the creative to come in. Very hard on a daily basis on the pacing, I think.
It is, it is. So we would have like say a budget pacing. So if on the paid side, very much a budget pacing um, formulas around that, and then we would have then a pipeline and an HCV pacing. So what are we generating in terms of revenue pipeline to the business, and then what are we generating in terms of HCV, which is closed revenue, um, and as well as the challenges on the platform side. So say on the paid platform side, so with Google, with Facebook, with LinkedIn, um, there are so many things at those platform levels that can affect it. But then you're also dependent on the when the lead actually comes into the business, the things that influence it. Like for example, how are we going to nurture these leads? What email nurtures would be there to help you convert your pipeline into ACV, and then you've got sequences with the sales reps that are there as well, and then you've got to like I have a deep relationship with the sales team, right? So
You have to.
um, I have to like, and I there is often I see with people who come into the business actually is whereby they have been in marketing and the sales is over there, so they're two
Too
distinct
separate.
things. Where I try to force it together. So I have to be like I have to be as able to pick up the phone to qualify a prospect as a sales BDR would have to.
Right.
And I have done that in my career to try to have the mix of marketing, sales, marketing, sales, marketing, sales, marketing, sales,
Brilliant.
continually flipping it over. So, and I expect my team to be able to speak to a BDR, to take feedback from the BDR, give the BDR feedback as well. So it's a bi-directional thing. So that's one thing that I'd highly recommend in a especially in B2B, um, and in any business is like you can't have a silo of marketing here and a
Mhm.
silo of sales there. So that relationship is really key.
Yeah, yeah. On the sales side of things, it's extremely important. And here's another important part: as I'm mainly an SEO, but
Yeah,
also do paid media. Do you find that the teams themselves have a bit of competition in if paid media is doing well and SEO isn't or organic isn't? Is there a way that those guys go against each other, or is it completely team focused and it's your job to kind of pull it through, make sure that they're have the one goal in mind,
yeah.
or do you reckon that there's a bit of competition?
Look, there is. I've ran both functions together at Qualtrics here, and there is. Each SEO is a hugely, I guess, there's lots of huge amounts of work involved in it. Very, very focused. Lots of detail, and paid is the very same. And but they want to achieve. So SEO really wants to achieve for the pride of SEO, right? And
Yeah,
paid is a pride in its work too. But I say, look, you're focused on your own function first, get it to deliver because we've calculated what it should deliver based on
yeah.
year over year, quarter over quarter, what it should do. Um, and the next component then is the team target. So I would have an all up target for digital media globally across the business.
Yeah,
So you would have your top level targets you want to achieve for the business globally. Then you would have a regional target, and then you would have a country target, and then you would have a function target.
right.
So I try, one has to then help the other, help the other, help the other. And oftentimes, if SEO is over, say, 150%, because it's a great function, we've got amazing SEO people at Qualtrics, um, if that is over and paid, could be under in a country, they're like hugging each other, happy days, we did it together, you
Yeah.
know. But they do still have the pride of wanting to achieve for themselves, you know.
Yeah.
But I make them have this very, because there is a lot of a, you know,
Well,
even
it affects both. Like
yeah,
like if organic goes down and paid campaigns rely massively on the brand awareness of the SEO,
yeah,
and all of a sudden your organic might drop off because of an algorithm update or
yeah,
a URL because of competition or Google changes to AI overview, something like that, then all of a sudden the paid media don't have the audience that they had to retarget to. So
yeah,
it is such a intertwined thing.
yeah, and you know, branded search investments is proven to affect SEO impact massively as
Oh
well.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Well,
you
when
know,
we're doing SEO campaigns, we actually always say is that we don't just to know if you engage a paid media campaign around brand in search, it will come off this, and that's okay
yeah,
because if you have competitors that are going for that keyword,
yeah,
it's extremely important to do. It's just a note that hey, you're coming away from the targets of the SEO side of things, but it's been
yeah,
brought over to the paid. But it's very easy to tell, like the when a campaign starts and when a campaign stops, especially around brand.
yeah,
But we have noticed the PMAX campaigns actually
yeah.
very hard to get brand away from that. Your brand is always going to be, I know that they're adding negative keywords to it, but still, we reckon it shows quite a bit. Google are putting it in place. So it
They
does
are.
take away from organic, yeah.
There, and look, PMAX is really actually took a while for me to get it right and for us to get it right, but it's really beginning to work for us globally across the business. And one thing that's I've been curious to talk to you about is AI, Cian, right, in terms of how on the agency side you're using it. I can share a bit about from a Qualtrics perspective, but how are you utilizing AI?
Yeah, well, do you know what? With AI, there's a huge amount of, I suppose, transparency that needs to come
Yeah,
into play. Like we charge based on time, so
yeah,
we give companies the option at the start and we say, would you like to use AI? Would you not like to use AI? It's
yeah.
totally up to you. Some businesses are completely against it, may like in law,
Wow.
for example, maybe insurance because there's compliance. And, you know, we pay writers quite a bit, external writers that have experienced quite a lot of money. But 2 years ago, if we asked, would you use AI? Or a year ago, they would have said no. And now
Wow.
all of a sudden they're like, yes. So everyone seems to be more understanding of it and are adopting
Yeah,
to it. Now, how we're using it as an agency is we're trying to tell and educate people that the information that you're feeding to AI is way more important than they think. It's like
yeah,
you still have to put a lot of effort into creating the perfect prompt. And AI, there's so many different functions that we use it for. But on the content side of things, we have seen some excellent results for like products of e-commerce because e-commerce brands sometimes will take the back of a bottle and or the back of a product description and everyone has the same description. So
yeah,
when AI is introduced in that regard and you're adding in some FAQs, some more feedback on it, like it seems to do way better because it is more quality content. So as long as AI is helping improve quality,
yeah,
it's perfect. But we have seen that we're creating a lot of custom GPTs for people
yeah.
where we'd have a custom GPT for products
Wow.
on an e-com site. But that would have a specific function. If there was blogs, we'd actually, for the same company, have a custom GPT for blog writing,
Wow.
right? So there's multiple ones. And not only that on the social media side. Now, it's not mainly our thing, social media, but we do help out companies if they need it and they don't want to hire another agency,
Yeah,
where we'll create a custom GPT for LinkedIn, custom GPT for Facebook, because each one of those is the algorithm is different and the copy works differently on each one. So we try and adhere to that. So a lot of effort into it at the
yeah,
start, but once it's in, the automation that can happen with it is fantastic. Like I was telling you a bit earlier, we integrate with Google Sheets now on a lot
yeah,
of stuff where we can put in a keyword on one column in a Google Sheet and it would fill out our title tags, meta descriptions, and we have a whole rule of the prompt that happens on it, like never go over a certain character limit,
yeah,
always have the keyword maybe at the start. Well, it depends on the industry. At the start of the title in this one, make sure you include it in the description, never go over 145 characters. And all of a sudden, you just export from SEMrush or your keyword research doc and you have your title tags created. So it has become a huge part of what we do. And even on the paid media side, ad testing,
yeah.
new creative, we've been implementing massively on those side of things. And for some people, like their analytics, they've been exporting analytics and importing it and say, can you tell me something about this report that I might not be able to glean? Is there any anomalies that you might
Yeah,
see within the data? What do you think are, say, if we exported Search Console data and imported into it, we say, is there any ones we
yeah,
feel we could enhance the click through rates on these articles by putting it in? Those side of things, we can definitely tell that AI is like massively, and like AI is at its worst point at the moment,
yeah,
which is mad. It's only going to get better.
yeah,
So we're fearful, but we're also embracing. So that's our kind of take on it. But we are doing, myself and Mark are actually creating a AI policy document and
yeah,
how we're going to use it as an
yeah,
agency, and we won't use it for certain things. And so, like, we'd never use it for, say, if we had a client who has to have content written, it has to be from their perspective. It has
yeah.
to have a lot of input and insights from their point, because they're the expert. We wouldn't advise AI in those sort of things. We might, in that situation, we might use it to maybe plan out the article or give them
Yeah.
an outline of what they should include, because we've looked at competitors. But that's really kind of our insight into it at the moment. We're definitely not as advanced as a lot, but we are implementing quite a bit.
That's brilliant, brilliant. Look, I think my kind of perspective on it, and it's you're doing amazing stuff with AI, and I think my focus and the business focus. I remember surveying internally across about 80 people across our marketing org globally, just about I guess their utilization of AI and how they use it. And a huge piece of insight came back was like, look, they're extremely interested. I love AI, want to know it, want to do it. But then on the capability set, in terms of getting their skills up to a point of, how AI can benefit them in their role, um, they're at a very, I guess, a basic level. So I guess we've got a lot of work on individuals to
SOPs.
sort, yeah, SOPs, and also like just um, problem to be solved statements, and then how can AI support them. So one of the things that I'm trying to do to address this is by we use OKRs, so objectives and key results. So each individual would have a set of OKRs per quarter, and we have an AI capability OKR, and then key results that the ladder off of that for each individual, um, and to enable then the practice of bringing that into their role. And I'm also we're a large, I guess, corporate business, right? So I'm also involved in advising a company called Calypso AI on the security component of AI.
Okay.
And on the LLM side, AI can be a big threat and a concern to some businesses. And I think I've just been fascinated by how looking at their customer base have been bringing in these secure playgrounds, right? So a playground in terms of AI, so that you can have all of the ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, everything under one secure playground where they're not going to put in anything into it that's
Sensitive data,
yeah, because
revenue,
it's
anything like
filtered
that.
out, it's
Yeah.
there. So I guess that has been a big thing I've seen at different companies where there's security component where they're worried about, what are you going to feed into this AI? What are you going to know about us as a business? And like we're very AI focused on our product side. We're some of the most probably we are the most advanced in our category in terms of AI utilization of the product. So we've got a big push to augment roles. And what I mean by is taking it from a hugely positive perspective, whereby we look at individuals and say, look, how can you add to your roles so that it's like it's fill one and a half, fill 1 3/4 of that individual because he's got something and someone thing there that's helping him do something great. And I guess the speed it allows us to, we've got paid in so many countries being delivered across the world, so many different languages. Things that took us so much longer to do, like localization and then the review
Yeah.
component
Mad.
of localization, it has really sped that up. And also on the budgeting side, it's really helped in terms of budget management and all of that as well. So I see nothing but positives. Obviously, long term, it can be very concerning, but like I guess it's like everything you adopt it, you get to know it very well, very closely. And I think those individuals from a career perspective that kind of fully wrap their arms around it and make themselves know it, like there is nothing but hugely positive futures ahead for them.
Yeah, massively. Like there are risks, and we have seen down. Like we were paying a lot of writers
Yeah,
for content, and as time went on, clients have just kind of said, actually, we are going to switch to AI. The reason being, some of the writers were excellent, but they were looking at the quality of ChatGPT and they were comparing it in house, and they were saying, well, this one, which one do you think is AI?
yeah,
It's what a company we work for, and they couldn't tell the difference. So they
yeah,
said, right, and they both put both the original and the AI one into an AI checker, and both came out 100% AI,
yeah.
even though one was completed by hand. And that's
And
because people use things like Grammarly and other things that actually, it's more, it caters it to unfortunately be captured by these AI checkers. But yeah, it's we're definitely going to see more and more of these things happen, even in like say featured images for blog posts where
yeah,
you might outsource to someone to create it. Now they're just using the DALI, is it?
yeah,
Kind of things. And terrified to see what's going to happen on the video side of things with Sona being, is it Sora? Sora being released.
yeah,
That came out last week, and this new ChatGPT that's $200 per month, which of course
yeah,
we're going to have to pay because we need to be ahead of things.
yeah,
Uh, but we can definitely tell already that on the other side of things, what are the opportunities on the marketing side?
yeah.
There's definitely anyone using that $20 or free version is going to be littered with ads eventually
They
uh,
are,
on
they
AI.
are.
And the people that are paying the top dollar, the 200 per month, they'll probably be ad free. I reckon that's the model at the start anyway. But you never know what the companies are going to implement. But
And
yeah, the way I see AI now is just the farmer who was digging up the fields, and now the tractors come along again.
yeah, and in that instance, right, the farmer's still doing the work while he's there. He's got the
He's
tractor,
driving
but
the
it's the
tractor. Yeah,
tractor and the farmer. That's the important thing. I think
yeah.
people need to recognize that, right? Um, and just out of curiosity, what's your, I guess, kind of perspective on the future of search as a result to say AI-driven search results and its impact on, say, organic in particular?
I think anyone who's in the information based arena is going to be it's going to be hit very very hard very soon.
Yeah,
I reckon there's some like for some of our clients it won't affect them too much. Say if like we're a product,
yeah,
well maybe actually the product side of things will come in, but a local service if
yeah,
we're helping those like they still need to get to a website, they still need to do an offer. I don't think that's going to be massively affected. I think some of the areas that are going to be affected is definitely information. So like if I wanted to rank under what is SEO, you
yeah,
know, even if I'm on page one of Google, an AI overview is going to come in and just push me out. The goal will be to try and get a reference or a citation within the AI
yeah,
overview. How things are happening in the future, I have very glum perspective. Like Google, I think will always be there, but I was asking my 13-year-old cousin or 14-year-old
yeah,
cousin what he's using at the moment now if he has to go find something. He said, well, I'll just ask Siri. I was like, oh God, voice search is coming back. But voice search isn't going to kill search from Google point of
yeah,
view. But over time, people's use of it is going to become more like that. And now that AI is there, uh, people are like these younger people are using TikTok as a search function. So they're going on to
yeah,
TikTok and onto Instagram to look for local businesses rather
yeah.
than using Google. So I think people's, I suppose, the way that they're using these things is changing. It's going to take a while, but eventually it will cut into the market.
And it's fascinating, isn't it? Like, and that's why I guess doing research within your target audience is so important. It's like observed research. So I used to run a UX function and a CX function. We used to do these studies where you'd observe, a cohort of people who are our ideal customers, right? And when you look at their media habits and how they actually use media and products, it's just fascinating. I think that's one thing that we all kind of have to keep on top of is, I guess, observing the behavior of people because, like, you're dead right. Like, I looked for a roofer and instead of going to Google, went on Instagram to look for roofers with good reviews, good pictures, good brand. And then when I'm doing any heavy research on something, I'll use ChatGPT. And then Siri, for example, had a huge opportunity to win that game, and it's so bad still.
Mm.
And but but the
They
voice,
should have been partnering with Google a lot more on it, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah,
But
they would have done so well. But now seeing voice come into ChatGPT, um, and it's fascinating. But
I have started using VoIP because I'm fed up with typing out the question.
yeah,
And
yeah,
SEO is becoming a lot more conversational, and that's
yeah,
what's going to happen here. Like things I'm using ChatGPT for now is like a huge amount of coding. Where even myself, I had to create one of my clients wanted a book, or sorry, kind of a flip book kind of style
yeah,
for her. She's a apparel, I suppose, or
yeah.
fashion. And we were like, okay, well, we'll get a quote. We got a quote off developer from maybe 2.5 to 3,000 euros to do
Okay,
this. And I says, well, geez, that's a lot. She said, not in the budget. So we said, look, we'll try and use ChatGPT. I'll just
yeah,
see what they need. So I put in the code, and the code said, well, I just need 10 images and we can do it. Uploaded 10 images to the Shopify store, inputted the URLs to ChatGPT, told it to create an interactive book that's also responsive on mobile. I'd like you to shade the side so it looks like a document is flipping. All of a sudden, the output within probably an hour and a half is just
wow,
completely there. So a developer just lost out on 2.5, 3,000 euros there. Now
yeah,
we're going to go with them anyway, I suppose, because of the price and smaller business. But it just goes to happen that, or goes to show that
yeah,
it's available now because of it. But back to the original
fascinating.
question, yeah, I think it's going to affect SEO massively, and I think there's things affecting SEO at the moment that aren't just to do with AI. It's like
Yeah,
I don't know if you follow the SEO industry a lot, but like affiliate marketing was a big one that's
yeah,
kind of getting affected a
it
little bit
is.
by
Yeah,
it, because now even Forbes Advisor was basically they were using it's not it's a Parasite SEO is a version of it where they're
yeah,
using the domain authority to rank under best
yeah,
barbecues rather than focus on business news, as an example. And Google are saying no, that's not right. But now there's like, I suppose people are filing, or these companies are filing things with the DOJ over in the
yeah,
US saying this is unfair practice. Google are going to have to sell off, or being forced to sell off, Chrome data because they're saying they're too much of a monopoly. There's so much happening in the world now at the moment that we're kind of like, it's not just the AI. It's like people trying to withhold their monopoly and make changes
yeah,
rapidly when users are changing the way that they're doing things. It's like there's a free for all going on at the
yeah,
moment, and we're just trying to get in as much customers, as much traffic, the
yeah.
lowest cost, the highest return as possible, and with all this going on. But yeah, the SEO
W-
definitely is being affected. Um, I wouldn't like to be an informational based SEO at the moment, where I'm trying to get in under
Yeah,
what is or how to keywords at the moment, because it's going to be very difficult.
yeah,
And businesses are going to have to, I suppose, understand that that's happening and how they adapt to try and get into these AI overviews, because it is going to be there for a few years. It's not going back. It
yeah.
doesn't matter whether it told people to drink urine to get rid of gallstones or put glue on your pizza. It doesn't matter. They're there and they're
Yeah.
staying. They're just going to make improvements to it.
That's brilliant. And would you say you're optimistic about the future? It's just a matter of adapting to it, or what would you say?
I'm optimistic about it. To be honest,
Yeah,
it's, the thing I'm most optimistic about is the fact that we're embracing it so much while other
yeah,
people aren't. I think anyone who's trying to hide what they're doing within AI
yeah,
is going to be found out quickly, because we're seeing that our clients, we're educating them as we go,
yeah.
and they're getting a lot smarter.
Wow.
I think employees are going to find it very difficult, because if you're coming out of college
Yeah,
and you use ChatGPT to help you produce something, and you think, oh, I've saved so much time here. When you're going to become an employee in a
yeah,
company that uses AI, what's going to happen is there's going to be an expectation of time,
yeah,
because you have this AI feature to help you. And I think that's the thing. Employees are going to get a shock, I think, when they work for companies that know, like, as you said, an SOP. If I'm going
yeah,
to go in and create an article, or I'm going to write a product description, that product description is going to take 30 seconds to write because I put
yeah.
in the keyword. You now have 15 to 20 minutes to edit that product description to make sure it's all correct, factually correct, and that's it. Your expectation is half an hour, and I want, at least 10 to 15 of these done
I love
a
it.
day.
Yeah,
So that's where I reckon that employees and people internally are going to get annoyed, but it is just going to be a part of what happens when we do embrace these things.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think you're right. Like,
yeah. Businesses that adopt early are going to be
yeah,
very happy because they're going to get ahead of people a lot quicker.
yeah,
I think programmatic SEO, when you're using AI to shoot out
yeah,
millions of pages, you're going to get caught pretty quickly. So I still think, as you said, you don't want the automated tractor going around the field, even though
no,
Elon Musk would disagree with you.
yeah,
You need the driver in there making sure that it's right, and if you come across a stone in the field, it's not going to damage the tractor.
yeah.
So,
I
my opinion on
l-
it, anyway.
love it, love it. And look, you're dead right. Those who embrace it, it's like the early days of even search itself, and SEO itself, and also social itself. Like those who adopt, generate success and revenue and do well. Those who don't and don't work with, I guess, people like yourselves progressively, they, are adopted internally, they get left behind. So look, I'm hugely excited about the future of it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's going to be a big change, but you're right. It's the future, and we just have to embrace it. So, yeah, it's still worried, but
Yeah,
optimistic.
yeah, love it, love it. Great.
Um, so I suppose the last thing, Phil, is like
Yeah,
on the B2B, like digital marketing as a whole
yeah,
is a huge amount of effort. On B2C. B2B, it's its own animal.
it's massive. Yeah, yeah.
There's like a lot of companies, they want to focus on the bottom of the funnel. It's like, looking for that particular
All
piece of
accountants
software.
do.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. I only want to look at that. I want to show
yeah,
up under this keyword because 200 people search it and they are my customer. But the ones that are really winning are the ones that focus on the entire funnel as a whole, where there's like,
yeah,
look, I want to become the authority on this topic. So I'm
yeah,
going to go to the stuff I know is not going to generate business, what people might remember my name, then to the
yeah,
people who come down the funnel who are actually your audience.
yeah. You're so right. And I guess, Keen, the one thing you can focus, on bottom of the funnel, and look, it's a big place where we focused massively because it would generate an absolute return. So say for every dollar we put in, you'd get 10 to 12x return on each dollar. But I guess what is very, very, you only can survive so long with that strategy, because you have to have people who have intent in their search behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
To do that, right? And if you've got a category that's relatively new and observant, like customer experience is a relatively new category, we've created a category of CX, and experience management all by itself. So it's like a new CRM category.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's
and
that's a keyword you're trying to drive brand awareness around.
yeah, experience management. And
Yeah.
so you've got to have people to actually know about the category. You've got to have them search for the category, and you've got to have them want and identify need in that category, right? So in order to do that, you've got to utilize full funnel marketing practices across that, right? Because if you're sitting there, it's like, in a business, you're just sitting there waiting for the customer to walk into the car dealership to say, "I want that car," and but you've got to sell a bit of the appeal around it, a bit of the excitement around it, and the only way to do that is through full funnel marketing, and also as you come through the life cycle of a customer, it becomes even more important, because in B2B you can do all this massive hard work getting a customer, and it's very hard getting a new
Yeah.
new customer in enterprise B2B. It's insanely difficult when you've got a
Well,
it's like
you think about the amount that an
yeah.
enterprise level company would spend. Of course, it is because they probably have huge amount of research that they have to do themselves. But yeah, how they build their trust with you is probably a massive thing. Then.
It is, and then you're not just trying to attract a lead from one customer, right? In enterprise B2B, you've got a buying group of people. So there could be between 6 to 12 people you have to influence, because if you, as a, say, mid-manager in a company, like, say, I have an interest in X software, let me just get a demo of it. You've got to get that approved by the IT director, the finance director. Then it might have the
CFO.
marketing, the CFO, marketing person. Think about, procurement, right? Think about, it could be, legal, because it's sensitive information you'll be sharing. Like, add up all those people and how busy their lives are, and you have to influence and touch them across. So I tend to market to buying groups. So we don't just identify individuals, we identify individuals within a buying group. And look, it's complex, but it's really challenging. I think that's why I love the category that we work in, because we started, I guess, as a business, you could say, as a survey business, and now we're an experience management business. And I
Yeah.
guess, which one do you want to be in? Do you want to be, is there an exciting future in surveys, or is there something really cool in experience management? And what Ryan Smith and the founders of this business have done is they've created a category, and then our job is to try and, I guess, build that category and make it very successful. That's been a big part of my education and learning, coming from I guess B2B, then into B2C, and then back to B2B. It's taught me an awful lot about, and also it's changing, right? So this buying group is getting bigger, I say, every couple of years, as different people get involved in it. But I guess that's the fascinating challenge with B2B.
Yeah. And what would be your approach? So I've been in B2B before. Look, B2C, there's, I call it like a two-step approach or a
Yeah.
one-step approach, and that's from my years in direct response marketing. But do you go, is your thing straight for the lead the whole time? Or do you say, no, opt into our email or join our webinar to try and build a bit of trust? Or do you give free access to tools? Like, do you have multiple tools of these methods and offers that you're testing the whole time?
We have multiple, so
Yeah.
absolutely multiple, and it is it happens. So we have to have an activity across the buying group for each stage of the funnel. So across awareness, so when we're trying to generate awareness
Get that
phase,
email.
yeah, get that email. So we use email. We try to use a value exchange. So we try and add value, particularly people who are in a buying group that trying to influence internally in their business. So we try to give them assets, toolkits, different things, trends reports, things where there's a value exchange. Excuse me. So if I'm adding value to your life, and I can show you the opportunity that exists to adopt this, and then we've got to share, I guess, as they come into consideration phase, their peers in the industry. So if I'm Porsche, I see BMW doing this. I have case studies, I have examples. I have other pieces of assets. We are present in software comparison websites, so
Yeah,
the likes
G2
of
and
G2, Gartner, all of them,
Capterra.
Capterra.
Yeah, yeah.
So I run that function as well, so we're very involved there. And then we have, through social, through organic social, we've amazing person Audrey there, who's done a phenomenal job at bringing a sense of energy, excitement, interest into the category as well, and putting Qualtrics front and center there. And we've also then got paid social, where we can be very targeted across different individuals who are in the market. So, for example, intent data. So we're able to utilize data from in the US from people who are in the market. So they're searching already for, I guess, the category that we exist within. And we're able to run ABM, so account-based marketing, which is one-to-one and one-to-few. So personalized ads, personalized landing pages.
Very good.
And so it's complex, but that's what's great about it, right?
Can I ask a question on the, have you noticed a change in the creative side of things? So an example now, us as an agency, we've done lots of testing with different creative. We've had worked with people who have spent a lot of money on professional videos, kind of like your TV style adverts,
Yeah,
like it's a huge amount. But what we've noticed is, because the trend of TikTok and Instagram, we've noticed that peer comments and, I suppose, what would you call, what's the term of it again? UGC, so user
yeah, yeah,
generated content, has become like the number one piece of creative at the moment in the market that we can see anyway.
yeah.
Because the trust is there. It's not like coming from a brand, it's coming from individual people. And I think this is why the influencers are absolutely killing it at the moment.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. And I think what I try to see is, again, they're at different content need phases, right? So if you take real high, like I personally, and I've been educated a lot at say Glanbia, in terms of brand and fidelity, so quality of content, right, is so important.
Mm.
And if you take Qualtrics, we've got a very, very strong creative root in our business, right? So creative is very, very important to us. Um, and we would, at different phases of the needs of the funnel, have very high fidelity, so almost movie produced content. If you look at some of the videos that we have online, some of the creative online,
I'll check it out in
Stu,
the Google Ads transparency, will I?
yeah, yeah, and but it's really, that's really positive for people who need long form content, really good. And then if you take individuals such as our CEO, you'll see they are generating their own content now. They are being thought leaders. All of our product leaders globally are now, they're the best in the world at what they do. So having them speak is very, very important. And that will capture at a different life stage of the person coming through the funnel of interest with Qualtrics, right? Um, and then there is, I guess, more scrappy related stuff. So stuff like even my team does with paid ads, like PMAX Creative, we can do a lot of that ourselves, providing we work within the guidelines of the brand.
Okay.
We keep the fidelity strong, but we're scrappy in the execution.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a mix of bringing it all together. Like the UGC stuff, works brilliantly and can be really high performing, but you need for different, I guess, states of the funnel, the high fidelity stuff, and but you also, if you've got a brand that is, a very strong physical visual identity, you have to sort of retain that, and I think that's why
Yeah.
even having your creative, leads be very involved in, I guess, a guideline of the UGC. So, like, for example, what settings you use in terms of your camera, what length it should be, the type of tone you speak with. And that's just an SOP for that, really. So,
Yeah.
um,
You haven't gotten to the stage where you're. I see one of the most successful ones I've seen, and it's for a device, is someone just taking out the camera and saying, "I can't believe that this has changed my life like this. I never do these reviews, but the guys asked me to put something together, and
love
that
it.
went out, and I couldn't believe the ROAS on it. I was
I
like,
love it.
I can't believe that happened." But those are the type of ads that we're seeing. But you're right. If a brand, if it's not in line with the brand values, then it can't be. But uh, at some point, do you decide that, look, as a test, can we do something like this? And would you
Uh,
have to argue for that?
Um, I think my own belief now, not everybody might agree with me, but also I believe in shipping work. So you don't want to spend months trying to get something perfect.
Yeah,
You need to get work out there. So we do have a company value of being scrappy, and I am very scrappy in what I do because I want to believe in quality, but also volume and velocity
you need to be
of
agile.
yeah, I need to be out there, like, and the only danger is some large companies, can let perfection get in the way of execution,
Hmm.
and if you can just balance those two things together, and execution is really all that matters.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's look, what's does the what it matters is, did that piece of creative
Yeah,
turn someone into, $1 million customer, over
yeah,
the space of however many years? Like, that's the real question. It's like, but that's again probably using a tool like Qualtrics would get the feedback on that, wouldn't
it
it?
would, it
Take
would,
a
it would.
survey.
Exactly. Brilliant,
Yeah.
Cian.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, Phil, look, I don't know, like, if anyone, I suppose, do you have a final message? If anyone's looking for you, or to have um, to find a software like Qualtrics, where can they find you online?
You can find the business qualtrics.com, online, and then a very cool thing, Cian, that I'm going to try and get you involved in is, Um, I'm involved in and we're involved as a company in a charity called Breakthrough Cancer Research, and I plan to run this, open door series whereby you offer maybe an hour or two of advice to people free of charge, but with a small donation to Breakthrough Cancer Research. So, If as soon as that's set up, I'll send you a link to that if you're okay to share that. And if
Of course.
it's a great thing to partake in. So I started it some time back, and I'm just trying to scale it now globally. So that's one of my main objectives from this.
Okay, great. Yeah, definitely. And I'll send on the link and we'll share it then as well.
Yeah, great.
Great.
Thanks so much
Thanks
for
so
this.
much,
It was
Phil,
really fun.
Yeah, it was really good now. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to the episode. I'm Cian Murphy, the host of the Cian on Digital podcast, and I'm delighted to be able to give an offer to anyone listening to the podcast. We're offering a free 30-minute consultation to talk about your digital or AI needs for your business. Don't hesitate to get in touch. Head over to cianmurphy.ie/podcast and sign up for your 30-minute free consultation.